Okie dokie, people. Welcome. 20th of February. This is your FLT meeting, like 70 something. We're not into the 80s, but we're past the 70s. It has been a long time. Well, actually, it hasn't, but in the world of the world and sovereignty and finance and crypto and all these sorts of things, 3 months is like 3 years in dog years, like 21 years in human years. So it's really nice to be back. I've got here with Richard. We actually got managed. The last calls we were on, me and Richard were actually like able to physically sit next to each other. Cool, seems like so long ago. It was really cool. So then we had a little bit of a break, just how things fell. It was really nice. And then the other day we got Dominic on the call and Matt, and they asked if we could kind of pull something together to just openly discuss NFTs. And I said, well, it'd be really good if we could open this up to everyone in the group. And that brings us to where we are today. We've got a few people, some familiar faces as well on this call, which is really nice. So it's the same sort of structure as ever. People that are on these calls, you know, it's pretty free flow. Me and Richard, all the stuff that we do, it's about collaboration and just different forms of views. We don't say to be experts in any one particular field necessarily. We just create the space so that we can discuss it. And whilst crypto definitely has changed the face of things across the planet, NFTs are a whole nother bag. Definitely a whole nother bag. So thank you, Dominic and Matt, for suggesting this. Really happy to be discussing it. I'm going to, because you wanted to open the space, Dom, I suppose kick it off with questions and things. Normally we do a bit of a round robin, but for this one, we're just going to kind of get stuck into stuff. So Dom, do you want to let us know why, what prompted all this? I would love, actually. And then maybe just kick it off with what we want to throw into the mix first.
Definitely, yeah. I think there's a lot of people that I follow that were talking about NFTs, and to be completely honest, I had no idea what it was for a little while. So I did a little bit of research, and it's mainly understanding virtual real estate or virtual art that I was fascinated how much it was selling for and where it all came from. To be honest, me and Matt was discussing it, and we thought it'd be good to make a call. I think I always listen and value your opinion on digital currency, digital kind of markets and the way it's moving. So we wanted to have this call really just to get your views and understanding of NFTs, where it's going. And there was a few questions, and I think a good question that we wanted to ask just to get it started was, do you find like the importance of virtual real estate? And we wanted to understand your views on why this is happening and where you see it kind of moving forward.
Daniel,
you're muted, Dan.
Can you hear me now?
Rookie.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apologies. It's really strange because I've not actually had a full Zoom call on this new Mac for a while, and there's loads of permissions I've not turned on. Like my computer's pinging up with things, and I'm trying to get it set up so that we can have a free flow call. So what I was saying was, it's interesting what people call an NFT, because the first place where your mind's gone to what you've looked at is virtual land. Which I love the fact that you've said that, because so many people just see NFTs as art, because that's been the big news headlines and everything like that. So is that the first question then, like just my views in general around NFT, around virtual land and art, and just a really open question on my thoughts of it? I'm just confused what the
I think that's just the opener. I've definitely got a few more in-depth questions, but I think just to start, it would be great maybe just for a basic understanding of what you think an NFT is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So I think the easiest way I explain it to myself, and the easiest way I explain it to other people, is I prefer the thought of an NFT as a piece of digital authentication. I feel that is a more really simple applicable word, because you'll see this word fungible all the time, and so many people think the word fungible is just an understood word. They go, what's an NFT? Oh, well, you know, it's the same as like a crypto, but it's non-fungible. I don't know if anyone, well, I'm curious actually, if anyone's not in crypto and even knows what fungible means. Has anybody heard the word fungible prior to crypto? Oh, Matt did. You heard the word fungible before you were in crypto, yeah? Wow. Okay. I am impressed with that. I definitely never heard of it. I'd heard it in the sense of someone saying it's not fungible, like I don't know, you couldn't do it. But I think the thing for me when I think about NFTs, 1 second, there's a lot of wind somewhere.
It'll be me.
Ah, right. Okay.
Can
I just mute that 1 second, Richard? Cheers, bro. Is I think that artwork, whether the artwork is digital or not, or was created on the blockchain or not, artwork is somewhere and has so many copies and is owned by somebody. A piece of land would have ownership. A ticket stub to an event, to a gig, would have ownership. There's plenty of things that we can think about in normal society where there's only one of them and somebody owns it, or either physically or owns it because it's locked somewhere, but they're the owner to the key. And that's how I kind of like to think about NFTs, whether we're thinking about land or registries or anything that we purchase. And I think that what that does for my brain is that expands it out a little bit more, because it depends where this conversation is going to go for this call. But when we really when we break away NFTs from specifically land or art or anything, we start to see the use of a blockchain in the real use case of who owns something on this planet. And that can be down to somebody producing 100 pairs of, I don't know, Nike Air Jordan shoes, if they are still trainers that people care about. And each one of those being unique pieces because they were all hand stitched, I don't know, signed by Michael Jordan. And each one of those can be digitally authenticated to say, this is an authentic original, one of the 100 pairs, and this is number 36, and it's owned by him or her or they. And so I think that's the stuff that's how I explain an NFT, and that's the stuff that gets me excited, and it breaks me out of the box of seeing it in single use cases. Richard, I don't know if you want to put your 2 pence on to begin with. If someone says NFTs, where does your brain go from an explanation point of view or an understanding point of view?
Yeah, it's the same way. I think just tell me if the wind picks up too much outside here.
You're good.
Yeah, I mean the hype at the moment is all around JPEGs and, you know, Bored Ape Yacht Club and all those sort of things, really, isn't it? The first time I came across the idea of fungibility was when I was really deep dive into money and understanding gold, for example, is fungible. So it's an exchange basically where one thing can be exchanged for another because it's got the same value. And so that's where my sort of viewpoint came from it. And then you understand crypto, you move into the crypto sphere, and it becomes a bit clearer if you can use that kind of analogy. But one thing I found out, just as a side note, is that Bitcoin potentially is, and some other cryptocurrencies aren't fungible purely because they have like markers in the code. So sometimes, you know, a part of a Bitcoin isn't going to be the same as another part of a Bitcoin. That's just an interesting aside that we're sort of finding in this space at the moment. But yeah, I think it's I think but the beauty of NFTs is at the moment is that they're probably going to be the scarcest asset on the planet, basically, because there is only going to be one. And you know, it's a lot of people are saying that it could be the ultimate sort of inflation hedge and store of value purely because of that, basically. So you know, we can go into all the different types of NFTs shortly, but I think it's interesting to sort of understand the fungibility aspect and then understand what, you know, the categories of NFTs are, just so to people get a viewpoint of the space, and then make a choice about what kind of NFT in particular they might be interested in.
Cool. Appreciate that,
Yeah,
Richard.
and then I think from that, if you don't mind me just asking really quick, very simple question, and is, should we invest? Very simple question, but I think it's an important one. Should we jump on the bandwagon? Should we invest?
I'll go there straight away. I think it feels NFTs at the moment are, people have been around for a while. There was a thing called ICOs in 2017, 2018, and you still get them now, basically, but initial coin offerings. And they're all great, and they massively developed the crypto space and brought lots of people into it, but 95 to 99% of them went to zero, and people are still holding crappy bags now of coin ICOs at that time. And I think it's important to sort of go back to that sort of time and in terms of the crypto space, and understand that's where we are now with NFTs. NFTs, the reason we're all on this call is because we've all heard of NFTs and we all think there's a way to make money, and there's massive hype, and it's lots of people coming into the space because they're developing their own NFTs. But with that, we're in a cycle at the moment, and we're still, wherever you believe we are in the cycle, we're in a hype cycle still, and we're due a crash. And there's lots of scams, there's lots of rug pulls and all these different things, and people will just go bit into something for that reason. So I think the first thing is assume that you're going to lose, you could potentially lose your money. The second thing is, how much time do you want to put into really learning about this stuff? Because otherwise you can really just listen to someone, buy what they say, and that can be a way to get wrecked pretty quickly. Or you kind of really just invest what you're willing to lose at the end of the day. So there's sort of three things that you can choose to deep dive into an area, and crypto just, even in the last 8 months, I think you'd agree, Dan, it just feels like it's opened up. I mean, last time we were on this call, we were talking about 8 to 10,000 coins. There's now 17,000 coins that you can choose from. So that's how quickly the space is open. That doesn't even include NFTs, right? It will include some NFTs, and that will contribute into it. But the space is moving so quickly, and the use cases for all these things are moving so quickly. The only thing I'd say is, in terms of investing, is what I see with NFTs is you can choose to buy something that's super rare, like a Bored Ape, or you can kind of, where NFTs are really going now is around use cases and the utility that is around them. So really, personally, that's where I'd be looking, is like, what is the utility of it? It's the only way to buy something that's super rare, like a Bored Ape, is you get in early, you're super passionate about the project, you're part of the community and you understand it, and you can afford to pay what it costs. The other option is to sort of look at the ecosystems that are supporting this, and really about the use cases, because it wasn't just about JPEGs and just about owning some art, but now it's really about what else things do they allow you access to, whether that's memberships or yield farming, or there's all these different things you can start to do with your NFTs at the moment. So it doesn't answer your question, should we be investing it? It's like, yeah, it's a good investment, but you have to be willing to lose what you can't, be comfortable with losing some money, or be so passionate about something that it feels like you've got such conviction about it that it works, that you're happy about it, and it's about narrowing your field of vision, I guess.
I'm muted again. Sorry, guys. Right, I'm going to come at this from a different angle. And Dom, I know you know me well enough to know that I'll never give you a straight answer.
Yeah, no doubt.
And especially when someone says, should I invest in this? If someone gives you a straight answer, be very cautious. I am aware that we want to talk about NFTs on this call, because my answer is going to segue us off. I'm going to give my answer, but then going to come back to NFTs as if I'm ignoring my answer. Yeah, because if someone says, should I invest in this? It's the biggest thing we keep saying in FLT is like, well, step back. Why are you investing in anything? Like, what is it you're trying to do? If someone says, oh, well, I just want to make money. Well, how much money do you need to make? Well, and most people haven't thought of these answers. They're just excited. They wanted to go into something. And so I would say, well, how much money do you want to make? Well, and eventually what you're trying to get to is like, what have you got and what do you want to make from it? And in what time frame do you want to do it and why? If you can answer those questions, should I invest in this becomes really easy. So for example, I had someone the other day that went through, I just want to make money. We went through this whole process, and eventually they were like, okay, actually I have $3,000. And what they would love is $6,000 in 3 years. So they got 3,000, they want 6,000 in 3 years. So they're looking at a 30, forget compounding. They're looking at 30% growth per year. And I said, well, let's look at what Bitcoin's done for the last 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, 7 years. And I think in the last, I can't remember this number. I think in the last 10 years, it's had 2 years where it's made a loss, minus 98%, minus 110%. So it's lost, let's say 100% in those single years. But the years preceding it and after it were like 200%. So basically what it worked out is whether you average the last 2, 5, 7, 9 years, whatever you did, you ended up somewhere between an average of 100% growth to 150% growth year on year. So this person's answer to what they should do in really simple terms is if all they did was buy Bitcoin and hold it for the 3 years that they want the return in theory, assuming they have a loss in 1 year of 100%, let's just take worst case scenario, they should still be up 200% in the next 2 years, which would average out as 200 divided by 3, which would be 70% per year. So I share this because if all you want to do is make money or as an investment, and you know what you've got and you know what you want and what sort of time frame, the answer might not be NFTs. Why? Because the statistical chance of finding an NFT, you've only got 2 NFTs in the way of crypto art or lands. There's only 2 ways, in my opinion, you make money on it besides scammy things. You either have to get in, if you've not got much money, you can't actually buy an expensive NFT. I mean, I was looking at the ones yesterday. You know, you go in, as soon as you're selling something for even a couple of ETH, which in the NFT world is cheap, you're still looking at 4 grand, 5 grand, which prices out so many people. So I think that unless you can get into something when they first launch and they're like, you know, pennies on the dollar, but then you have to get into them and there's, you know, they're massively oversubscribed to get 10 NFTs on the basis that these will be sold for 1 to 10 ETH later, or you're buying something that's already quite expensive. And so I think that if you're looking to just, in air quotes, make money, of all the things you could do in crypto, I just think I think buying an NFT to make money is up there in one of the more riskier spaces. If there's more to it than just making money, then cool. If you want to do it because you're interested in it, or, you know, like I know for a fact that Lottie on here you're an artist, aren't you, Lottie? You're interested in NFTs, not just because of their value, but all sorts of other stuff. So she's got a different value proposition. I know Dominic well enough to know that I'm pretty confident, Dom, you're not in NFTs because you are looking at creating your own digital art and putting it on there. Probably not. I don't want to judge you.
Definitely not.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so.
No, it's cool, man. No, you're correct.
So I want to come back to NFTs, but I do just want to just make that clear that if we're thinking of making money, there's just so much more money you can make with less risk. And I'm happy to still continue to talk about if someone says, well, I get that, but I would like to buy NFTs. What would I do? Fine. But I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't begin with getting down to basics. And there's just so much more stuff you can do. So that I wanted to just say that so that it's out there. Go on, Richard.
I think reflecting on what you just said there, I mean, it's true. I think it's more complicated as well because you need to be using MetaMask and all these different kind of wallets. There's a level of complexity there that takes it above, you know, what most people are kind of used to at the moment. But I think the biggest analogy is, you know, they've come from art and collectibles. So you have to think, would you invest in art and collectibles? Because that's probably a useful marker for yourself to sort of say, well, if I wouldn't invest in that, I might just interested in NFTs because it's the latest thing and everyone's going crazy for it. And it seems like you know, an amazing thing to sort of get into. So, I mean, that's where a lot of these sort of things came from. It's like trading cards and collectibles and things. So I think that's quite a good question. Just reflecting on what you said, Dan, is just, would you invest in any of those things? If not, why not? Because that's a good sort of reference point to sort of think about in terms of whether you want to get into the space or not. as well as the complexity.
Yeah, no, I can get that, because as soon as you think that, I'm like, I liked trading cards and things when I was younger, but I understood those. I think that's one of the things that holds me back in NFTs a little bit. But let's continue diving down then. In fact, I know I do want to just talk about NFTs, but I'm just curious to get your response to that, Dominic. Like, if it is about money, is there a reason you would choose NFTs over other things that maybe I don't know? Like, is it just a genuine interest? Because there's nothing wrong with being interested and excited by something. I think you kind of need a little bit of that. But if it was just about money, is there another reason why you would still choose NFTs over everything else you could do in crypto?
I guess not. I guess there's been a lot of case studies for myself of people that I respect and look up to who have done incredibly well in this space, and you know, their views are that this is the future, and it made sense to me. And I think it wasn't just the art side of things. I guess it was looking at where it's going in terms of more like the whole real estate, and people having their own kind of galleries in there. And
you mean like the Ready Player One sort of stuff?
It did interest me. Almost, yeah. Like, is it inevitable this is going to be the future, and is it a good time to start looking at this stuff early? That's, I think, what drew my attention to it. And I think just the earning potential, it was vast for certain pieces of art in here, I guess. And maybe it was quick returns that, not necessarily I'm always interested in quick returns, but I've seen the potential to have incredibly fast returns in NFTs with some really good examples, which attracted me to it, just to understand how that's happening.
I think
at such a fast speed.
I think it's really good. Digital land and virtual land excites me, maybe because I can somehow relate to it. You know, I've done property stuff. I've renovated and had tenants and all of these things. So I think there's just stuff around property that's maybe a bit more attachable. Whereas I do own some pieces of art, but art almost feels like if someone said, "Hey, do you want to invest in red wine?" I know how to drink red wine, but I haven't got a clue how to buy bottles of red wine to store in a cellar that apparently are going to be worth thousands in years. Like, it's just, I don't trust myself. So the earning potential in NFTs is huge, and there are so many good case stories. And if you're smart about it and you do your research, like, for example, I'm pretty confident that for as long as we're in the hype cycle, these Bored Ape collections and the Yacht Ape Club and all of these will probably hold some value, more so than all the others. But that's being very specific. But even now, to buy one, you're looking at, you know, 300K. So it's one of these things that, unless you've got the money behind, although they are starting to fractionalize NFTs so that you can own a portion of it, just like you can own a portion of the stock. So I do think there's still long-term investments that you could hold. And the more rare and original something is, the more it will hold its value. But the NFT art, and I'm only speaking to the art side of things, in my opinion, I think that is a big bubble, and it has a lot of hype in it. And at some point it will pop, but it won't go away. And I think some of the ones that have already proved themselves, like the punk collections, they'll hold some value. But the majority of the money that's in that industry will just dissipate into another space. That's what a bubble is. When it pops, the money it pops because the money drains out of it. But I think if we think about virtual land and Ready Player One, and I put aside my fear, you know, there's a lot of fear, my issues with what it may or may not do for society, like more people wearing headsets and everything. If I put all that aside, the inevitability is that is where it's going. I can't see how we're not going to become more digitally immersed. Is that wind too strong, guys? How windy is that?
It's not too bad, mate.
Okay. I think the inevitability is people are going to get more and more digital, more and more immersed. The quality of that digital landscape is going to astronomically improve, like ridiculously improve. The rollout of faster internet is coming. More and more people are connected. I just think it's all the sums add up to the facts that there will be more requirements for digital spaces. And I mean, landscape spaces like Ready Player One, where people can meet up, interact, talk, work, play games, date, chat, all the things that are done online, shopping galleries, try on clothes, all of these sorts of things. So when we think about digital land, which I kind of group as a meta, and I don't mean Facebook, I mean, digital versions of things. Somewhere in my head, I separate that out from NFTs. But at the end of the day, a piece of land on a digital blockchain is an NFT. And I do think that is very exciting, it is absolutely the future. And if I'm honest, I think that that's a better use of money. It's still super speculative, but I think it's a better use of money than buying an NFT art would be, unless you kind of know what you're doing and you're willing to do the research. So if you wanted to do, so for me, if I wanted to be excited in NFTs and I wanted to be thinking of it as an investment, but still also something I can wrap my head around, I'd be far more interested in virtual land, in Decentraland with Mana, or what's the big one called? I can't remember at the minute. I think that's way more interesting and more on the point than necessarily NFT art is. So I agree that I do think it's part of the future. But again, Richard drums this home all the time. Why are you doing it? Because you've got to get real clear. Like, I'd be getting into NFTs in the digital landscape, in land, because I think it's the future and I'm interested in it more so than to make money. I would think it's a long-term game, but I'd have to accept that if I got into 3 platforms today, that I think I would be lucky if even one of those exists in 3 years. Because I thought Decentraland was huge, and now I'm in all these chat forums. It's slated. People think it's shit. People think the graphics are terrible. They're naming all these other ones that are much better, that I've never even heard of. Earth 2, I think, is one of them. And so if I had to put more money into Decentraland, and I don't pay attention to it, in a year and a half, it could just be worthless, which is what Richard was talking about, where you're left holding the bags.
Yeah, if I can jump in, just from what I guess some of my thoughts have been quite similar in terms of the research that I've been doing on NFTs and virtual land and cryptocurrency, and I've found for me that they need a very different research criteria. Like, if I'm looking at a cryptocurrency and like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., I can look at the technology, I can look at the code, what it's kind of doing, what it means, and how it's also grown. When I look at NFTs, I see a massive cultural aspect, as in Daniel's first example went straight to Nike's, Jordan's, MJ signing them. And I think that's a huge part of it. Like, I've been following Snoop Dogg, and he's very into NFTs, and he has a lot of NFTs, and he had an anonymous Twitter account. And as soon as that got public and people found out that it was Snoop, all of the projects that he was in just shut up because of that cultural influence. And even stuff that I've seen launched, and depending who's behind it and how good their marketing team is, etc., I think it's a whole, almost like a whole nother space to fit a research criteria versus cryptocurrency. And then, like Daniel saying, I agree, I think virtual land is then its own other category, because it almost is different than that aspect. And I've been trying to find in my mind the ways that I want to invest and what I think the future is, and trying to decipher those differences is can be a little bit tough at times because of it being such a new space. But those are just some things I was thinking about as you guys were talking, I suppose, differentiating the different aspects of this new digital world.
Yeah, you've also got one thing as well, and this is why you've got to get really clear on why you're doing it. A couple of the mentors that me and Richard share would never buy an NFT art, would never buy a piece of digital land, and they would never buy, I can't think of another example right now, but they would buy the projects which are the central platforms for those things. So they would buy stock or or native crypto tokens in sites like OpenSea, Rarible, or Decentraland or Earth2, which are real estate based meta tokens, rather than buying the actual piece of land on there or the piece of artwork on there. Because what they're doing is they're hedging a bet saying, I believe that NFTs, artwork or NFT land is going to be part of the future. But I don't want to speculate on which one will do well. And I don't want to speculate on which piece of land inside will do well. Do I buy a piece of land that's 10 meters away from where, so Snoop Dogg just bought, or in the last few months, he wants to replicate his mansion. I think it's in Decentraland, but I can't remember. He wants to build his house in there, and nearby there's a Nike shop and there's a, I don't know, probably other brands. So all of a sudden in one of these digital land spaces in a certain area, it would appear certain big name brands have gone into it. So you could buy a plot of land there and you could squat on it and sit on it and just flip it. So in 10 years, you might sell it to a big name brand that wants to move there. Or you could just buy the native token for Decentraland, which is Mana, as an example, and work on the basis that if that does do well, other people will come along. It will get bigger and bigger, and the price of the token will naturally go up because its utility is directly linked to building land on there. And I personally prefer that view. But again, you've got to get clear on why am I doing it. And so if I wanted to do it as an investment and I was interested, I'd still buy the platform, tokens for the platform, and then I could still be interested in the actual product, but my money's not tied to it. So my interest is in reading about it and seeing what people are doing in these lands, maybe even buying a small piece just to play around that's cheap. But my money is separate, because I usually say to clients, like, if it's exciting, it probably is gambling, because wealth really likes wealth. I think wealth and boring should go hand in hand. You can still be interested in it, but excited is a different feeling. And if you're excited, it's not self-energy. And when we're excited, boys and girls, how many times have you been excited out in town and made decisions that maybe you weren't of your right mind at that time because you're excited? Yeah. So I think if I have a client or a friend and they're excited and it's around wealth, I immediately put the brakes on. Because if you're slow and you're consistent and you're methodical and steady and you really try to not lose money, you will be in a very different financial space in 10 years. And you can do all of that whilst not getting sucked in the NFT space. You can have things nice and safe and slow and steady, but be interested and excited about what Snoop Dogg's doing. And I think if we can create some separation between those things, I think it's better for your money, because whenever you try and do something quick, well, statistically, they don't work. I don't care what anyone says. If all of the quick, rich things worked, then everybody would be super wealthy, and they're not, because most of the time it fails. And they're the stories you never hear about. You always read about the successes. I'm going to go in. It's a bit overly windy. So that's what I wanted to say on that point, is about platforms, buying tokens for platforms rather than the actual project itself. Somebody wants to jump in whilst I'm just getting reset up.
I agree, and I think that's the viewpoint I come from, because I know, as we were saying before, the space is so fractioned. You know, crypto in general has got so many different areas you can go into that it can get overwhelming. You can start, you know, trying to invest here and trying to invest there in all these different spaces, NFTs being one of them, you know, whatever projects there might be. But as soon as you lose concentration on those, that's where you're more likely to lose money. I think it is about priorities and really thinking about things you're particularly interested in. So is it the scarcity aspect of it? There's an opportunity where big communities are. So you know, like the Snoop Dogg thing, for example. and the projects and the platforms that you can invest in, because we've got everything from like gaming is another NFT sector you could potentially go into. If you're into gaming, for example, you know, that would be a place to sort of really dive into, because there's lots of gaming projects, but there's actually lots of gaming NFTs that people are starting to trade, and those will be able to move into different metaverse projects as well in different lands. You've even got domain names, so like people that remember the internet would remember when people were selling domain names, buying and selling domain names. That's the same sort of thing now, so the .f or whatever it is. And then there's also the tokenization of actual real life real estate, not just digital real estate, but actual like people buying property, turning those NFTs, and you can be involved in that. So if you're interested in that respect to you've got an interest in property already, that would be a path to follow, because you've already got a lead into that basically. And then fashion, we talked about Nike and Adidas and all those things, those about partnerships. I'm not sure how you get involved in those sort of things, but it kind of shows how quickly that snowball will happen basically in that space. And then also financial NFTs. So a lot of financial products, whether it's insurance or futures or any of those sort of things, are getting wrapped and then tokenized and turned into NFTs as well. And with some of those, I think the biggest thing for me is I come back to now is utility, because there's one aspect of having something for scarcity, but people want to be able to do things with them, and they feel like I'm part of something now, I'm part of a community. So what utility is that going to give me? So, for example, with the financial ones, I'm pushing harder and harder. I think, you know, DeFi is where I'm concentrating at the moment, and therefore the NFTs that I'm going to be looking at are ones that are financial, where you can stake your NFT and start earning off it, for example. So that'll be a space that I'll be interested in. So I think, yeah, understanding why you're in it in the first instance, and then trying to find something you're already interested in is certainly going to help, because it's going to push you, it's going to keep you interested in, because half the time you're able to leave an NFT in your wallet, forget about it, but that could be detrimental. It could be in time that it grows in value, which is what you want from an investment point of view. But in terms of something you're interested in and you don't want to lose your value in it, you need to be interested in it to keep pulling on that thread and keep looking at your investment in a way that goes, is this worthwhile for me to keep using it? How else can I use it? What have I got it for? Because you need to keep asking those questions, because we can all get so wedded to our portfolio, whatever that might be, because we're interested in something. But I think certainly having an interest in something and a focus around it is massively going to help in this space and investing in general, because you're going to keep coming back to it. Yeah, I think Temmie's got a hand up there, dude.
Yeah, I'm just going to come to Temmie now. I liked all that, Richard, and that's made me just think about something I just wanted to make a note of, which was, just 1 second, Temmie. Oh yeah. Check reasons. Okay, let's go to Temmie. See what where is she?
Hello, everyone. Hi. Oh, sorry. Thank you. I think what Richard just mentioned and what you mentioned before as well kind of give me basic ideas. I don't have a clue about it. I've not even had time or energy to look at it. But what I wanted to ask, if somebody can just simplify it for me, is, all right, you buy a virtual land, for example, or you buy, I know that NFT started from like art industry, and my little knowledge about art is that somebody does something, paints something, you see it, you know, that kind of thing. Like maybe you look at a Picasso art or something and it's really expensive and you can't get your hands on it. But buying a virtual art or a virtual land, what value is that? You can't, apart from the people that use it to buy real houses now, but those virtual things, how does that make any sense? It's probably because I lack understanding of it.
That's okay. Temmie, really easy answer. Have you seen the film Ready Player One?
No, maybe I'll go and watch it tonight.
Okay, have you seen the film? Have you seen Tron?
I don't watch much movies. Sorry.
That's okay. All right. And then imagine this. Imagine, have you ever played a computer game in any format on a console or a computer where you're playing with other people?
Yes, at least I've seen the children play.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect. So you've seen kids playing a game, and on that game, other kids were there, and they were interacting with each other, but they're there to play the game. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Imagine that, but remove the game. So those kids in that moment are in a digital space because it's not real.
Yes.
They're all sat at home, probably just with maybe like a headset on. But take it one step further. Instead of a headset on, they've got a VR goggles on. They're still in a digital space, but now instead of them watching a TV screen, they've got a VR headset on, so they're a little bit more immersed. They've got peripheral vision. If they lift their head up and move their head around, they're looking around this digital space. Yeah. So this means that instead of, this is the sadder side of it, but it's where it's going, and we've got to find balance. Instead of the kids being outside on the street playing with each other and looking around, they're in a digital space playing with each other, looking around. And so you only have to stretch a little bit further. If there's digital spaces where thousands, an unlimited number of people can meet, how long is it going to take before somebody wants to commercialize that? How long does it take before there's a digital shop? How long does it take before a rich person says, oh, I'm going to just go there and I'm going to build a playground because I can. And I'm going to charge people to enter the playground and they can go on digital rides. A digital ride might not interest you at all. And everyone's welcome to their own views. But the younger generation today and people that have spent their life online, a digital ride sounds interesting. It's 0.1 cent of a dollar. You know, I'm just going to go and sit with my friend and chat about stuff and enjoy this visual experience. So the digital space, although you might not think you're not owning something physical, you're owning something that's equivalent in a digital world on the basis that it's going to earn you money. You might rent that space out to Nike. You might build on it and sell apartments that people will buy because they will buy them. And then people will start to buy digital furniture to put in their digital house to show off to their digital friends. Even if it seems crazy to you, it's only because you're probably not in that field. I guarantee you, this is not crazy. No. There's a program called Second Life. Anybody heard of it? Nobody's heard of Second Life? Second Life, guys.
It's really old now, isn't it?
It's really old. So Second Life is the original virtual. It's called Second Life because it basically said no matter what you are in life right now, flesh and blood, no matter what you are, you can come on Second Life and rebirth yourself. If you want to be a flying apricot dragon with a warlord's crown, you can do that. And people started getting married on Second Life. So they would have their real life. And then on secondlife.com, they would have a whole nother life where they're a completely different person with a completely different job and married to somebody. And sometimes these people would meet in real life and get married. And this is really old. This is all virtual. So you'd walk around and you'd go, hi. And then you'd talk to somebody in a really crappily animated way. Second Life is huge. And people became so obsessed. People are so obsessed with it that their whole life is just about being able to get on Second Life. And everything they do is about just getting back to the computer to be on Second Life because they believe that life is more of them than their real life is. And nobody, in my opinion, has the right to say that they're right or wrong if anyone believes that's what they believe. So where this space is going to and what's already happening, like, that's why I say it's inevitable, because people want novelty, people want to escape from things, and people want to connect with more people, and we are more digital every single year. So I think it's inevitable that it's going to go that way. So these things that you could buy, these spaces, people will buy apartments and they will pay for things that they'll never be able to physically own, like furniture, and they'll put it in there and they'll invite people around. They'll have tea parties and many other things, and kids will meet and they're playing playgrounds and everything. So Temi, does that give you maybe a bit of a perspective that you're not aware of?
Yeah, very much so.
So you can imagine now, if you know this is going to be big, buying a piece of land in these spaces. You can understand now why like Dominic and Matt are discussing it. And I know that Matt also, you do a lot in property anyway, so it's only a slight hot for you to think about that.
There was a question I wanted to follow on, which aligns perfectly with what you're saying here. So in this earth physical reality that we're living in at the moment, there is an X amount of land on planet Earth. Therefore, in prime locations, the price will always stay high. The question is, in virtual land, is because there is an infinite amount that can be produced and created, will the value of the market dilute and lose value? How do you see that happening? Because there's not a limit of virtual land, right?
Yes, there is.
There is. Okay.
There's no limit to how many companies can choose to create a virtual land product, obviously. Yeah. But most of the people that make land, all the land is a token. And just like tokenomics, so everyone always says, oh, I'm not going to invest in Bitcoin because what if Bitcoin made more Bitcoin? Now that sentence, it tells me that they don't understand Bitcoin. There's 21 million Bitcoin. There'll never be any more. And someone's like, well, what if they just decide there is no they can't decide, there's 21 million. And someone else could come along and make something better than Bitcoin. Then there are other projects out there that are technically better than Bitcoin in certain ways, but they can't just replace Bitcoin. Bitcoin's got, 13 years of backstory and everything else. Just because something's better, the Mac was better than the PC for a long time, but PC dominated. So there can always be more and more companies making virtual land, but virtual land is pointless without people. So let's say there's 10 companies, but these 3 companies is where 70% of everybody's going to, then these prices will increase staggeringly. If there's a 13th, 14th, 15th company making virtual land, it doesn't matter how much better it is or limited, they've got to get the people there. So there's no limit to companies, but most of the people that make virtual land limit the amount of virtual land. And they do that because of, in my opinion, because of tokenomics, because they want a scarcity. Like Earth 2, for example. Earth 2 is a digital version of the Earth. So it's got continents. All the continents are broken down into little squares, and you can buy plots of land, even in the ocean. The whole world, imagine the whole world covered by 3 foot by 3 foot squares, and you can buy 2/5 of the museum, Natural History Museum in whatever country. You can do a lot of things, but the point is that it's limited. Decentraland is limited as far as I know. Sandbox is another one. Most of them are limited. Could the creator of the token make more land? Maybe, depends on what the contract, depends on what the code says for that particular land. If it's a DAO, then it will only make land if everyone that owns the token agrees that we make more land. So even though, yes, they're virtual and they could make more, if Amazon owned virtual land, it would be building more and more land all the time because they might not care. But such a judgmental statement. Apologies there. But they would certainly know how to make more money from it. But most companies that are doing it would do it because they know it's good for their tokenomics. And we use the word tokenomics, it means the economics for the cryptocurrency token of that land. It does good to have scarcity. Scarcity sells. If you keep diluting the pond and making more, that's not necessarily going to make you more money. Just like printing more money. Yes, there's more money, but the value of that money has just gone down. So does that answer your question around scarcity definitely. And the producers of more virtual land?
Definitely. That helps me to understand it a little bit more, to be honest.
Cool. And is there any, just before, because I know Dominic's got rhymes and loads of questions. Temi, thank you for asking your question earlier. Tunde, Paul, what else we got? Kathy and Lottie, are there any specific questions you'd love to throw into the mix as well? Otherwise, we'll just keep talking.
Hi, everyone. I'm just in there. I just joined to this meeting because I wanted to. Well, Kathy just mentioned this meeting, and I just joined to the group. So I just curious what's going on and try to find more information in generally about crypto world and stuff like that. So I'm relatively new, so it's always good to just listening and getting the information. So, but can I ask any questions?
You're welcome to ask any question.
I mean,
but we just don't want to segue
obviously
too much. Yeah, of course. I mean, ask your question, but we're going to try and keep it on NFTs, but ask it and let's see if we can do a quick answer, seeing as you're on.
Yeah, because obviously I'm not really in this, so these languages sounds for me is what is NFTs and stuff like that. So yeah, I know the basics, but really it's just relatively new stuff for me. So yeah, I have a challenge at this moment. Just a quick question is, I'm looking for a crypto wallet which I can use to withdraw cryptocurrency from one of my businesses, and it's using TRC20 system. So I'm using the Kraken, and I'm just wondering if any advice or which one is the best. So I have crypto.com, Kraken, and Binance. So so far, but if there is a better way, then I'm happy to listen.
They're not wallets; they're exchanges.
Yeah.
And it's important you understand the difference between a wallet and
yeah,
an exchange.
You see, that is my knowledge.
No, that's okay. No, that's good. I just say it just so that you're aware. A wallet means you own it.
Yeah.
Think of it like this: a wallet is just like a wallet. You put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
It's in your, for as long as you've got the wallet, it's yours. An exchange is more like a bank. You are you're reliant on them being there.
Yeah.
They're good. The sites you've just said are good. If you're wanting to do crypto businessy, commercially, legally, all of these things, then I would be using things like Coinbase, e-commerce.
I couldn't open a Coinbase, by the way, in the U. So I based in UK. I still based in UK, and I couldn't open the Coinbase. They didn't verify me. So when I provided the address and stuff like that, I couldn't open it. So they rejected me.
Coinbase is different from Coinbase e-commerce. E-commerce means you're able to connect your business up so that you can receive crypto payments by sending out invoices. So it depends on how you want to use cryptocurrency. But if you're using it from a business perspective, you want safety, you want big names. Kraken, Crypto.com, Coinbase, Binance. They're some of the top 7 exchanges on the planet. So they're pretty safe. They're pretty stable. But again, when you're using crypto, you just got to understand, why am I in this space and what do I want? I've got a lot of my friends that are Canadian at the minute, and their reason for being in crypto is very, very, very different to maybe where Matt's coming from, which is, interest and diversification and what's the future going. Whereas some of my Canadian friends are just looking at, how do I stop the government from taking my money or freezing my money? Very, very different reasons for being in crypto. So Tunde, if you're in crypto because you're looking at the business side of it, how do I make, receive, and use crypto within finance, within business? Stick with what you've got there for now. We will be, when we start the crypto course this week or early next week, I can't remember what date we set. We will be covering things like that. So if you're new into crypto, we're going to do a 9-week course to take you from beginning all the way through. And one of those modules is all about wallets and exchanges and hot wallets and cold wallets and storage and security. So people are welcome to join any one of the 9 modules or all of the 9 modules. So I wanted you to know that, because we'll be starting that fairly soon, and that might be a nice block of time where you can go from very entry level all the way to being able to swim in the medium pool.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. So I'm going to just pull it back into NFTs. We're half past, so we'll probably do another sort of like 15 minutes. I wanted to bring one thing in that popped up in my brain earlier, which is about technology and competence. And I'm directing this towards Dom. just because using you as my archetype, Dom. Yes or no, are you already in crypto?
No.
Okay, so there is I drew a nice diagram, but I won't be able to explain it here. It's like crypto is not complex. Crypto obviously contains tons of complexity, but the first few levels in crypto aren't necessarily complex. They're just new. You just have never done it before. You don't click these buttons before. You just got to do it. So the entry level into crypto is fairly easy. Just like getting into a car and starting it. You don't need to know how the engine works. But there does come a time where your technical ability, all the time you're doing it, your technical ability must be greater than whatever it is you're doing. If what you're doing, if the money you're investing is 100 grand and it's worth this much to you, if your technical ability is here, that's a risk. If what you're doing is running 10 different accounts, that means the complexity is here. But if your ability is here, you've got a risk. And so I bring all this up because in the NFT space, Richard mentioned it earlier, you will be using MetaMask. And as soon as you branch out from non-Ethereum based land or non-Ethereum based artwork, you will be using a different form of an extended hot wallet in your browser, probably. And these things are technically more requiring. And moreover than that, I don't know if you're all aware of what happened last night on OpenSea. 13 million got stolen out of people's MetaMask wallets. So last night, whilst people slept, 127 different NFTs were stolen from people. How did that happen? Now, I can tell you, I was reading about it this morning, and we still don't know fully, but we're starting to get the answer. They happened because of a phishing attack. Phishing just means someone is trying to get you to do something. They're phishing. And people signed a transaction. So a MetaMask popped up on an email they were expecting, and they just signed a normal transaction that they thought was OpenSea. But that signature of that transaction gave the person that created the smart contract permission to go into their wallets and take what was inside their wallets. So everybody woke up, NFTs were gone. So I bring that up because if you're looking to get into the NFT space or the meta space, or this space where things are unique, you know, land, artwork, music licensing, all of these things, and you're going to own the rights to it in a little wallet, you need to understand the security threat of that wallet, the risk, the reward, all of these things, because otherwise you could fall victim to something that was one level higher than your technical ability or ability in general. It might not be technical. It could be anything. If you're tracking an NFT that you think is going to pump and dump and you want to catch the pump, you know, you need to be on it. You need to be looking at it and monitoring it every day and have systems in place to know when to sell. And if you don't do that because your attention to detail is low, then this gap between the two, you're fucked. So there's so many ways in crypto that can happen. And one of the biggest ones, as soon as you start branching out into the small nuances of crypto, like NFTs, you have to up your game. Otherwise, the risk is real because crypto is complete financial sovereignty. It's yours. No one can take it away from you. It's yours. But with that power comes responsibility. And I think it's a big wake-up call when it happens. And I had a client the other day send me a screenshot of KuCoin, and they were logging in and it was asking for 2FA. Now I know they just set up that account and I know that there was no 2FA on there and I was confused. And then luckily she saw it and she sent me a picture of the URL, and it was KuCoin, but instead of an O, it was a 0 or something like that. And it was a very well done spoof website of KuCoin. And if she put a username in, she put a password in, the next screen it asked for 2FA because most big accounts would have 2FA. And as soon as you put that code in, they would have been running KuCoin in the background, loading straight into it and stealing everything. And she'd only been in crypto for 4 days and was already putting her details into a fake site that looked perfect. slight differences, but you would only know it if you knew KuCoin's web screen that well. So I want to bring that up because it's really important to stay safe within crypto, because it is your money. It's like owning gold bars. You need to look after those gold bars. And if you don't, you'll come home one day and you're ransacked and they're gone. So I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just bringing the reality of it, because we're so used to banks. If a bank got robbed, you just expect the insurance to cover it. You don't have that liberty in crypto. So technical ability is important, especially if you're going to get into NFTs. I've said my piece there.
Daniel, can I just ask a question, please?
Sure.
It's not for an NFT, so it might be for a future thing, but I just wanted to ask. I'm really interested to find out more about, and there were some comments shared in the group recently, probably around the government interventions and the government sort of stepping into crypto space. And there was comments in there about online and offline, which I kind of vaguely got and don't get enough, and I really need to. I know I need to understand that. And the sort of like protecting, because, you know, we're talking about how you look at it from an investor point of view, but how do you protect what you already have? How do you make sure that you protect that, and also that you're making the decisions kind of like for the right reasons? I mean, I know you've mentioned that on this call today already. The reasons why are massively important, you know, so you don't want to be inadvertently supporting something you don't want to support. So my questions will be like, can we have a call around that, because it would really help, and also about the usability of crypto, actually using it without conversion into fiat, how you do that. So I'm sorry, I know it's not to do with NFTs, but I just wanted to ask for that for maybe a future session, please. Thank you.
Oh, Daniel, I think your sound's gone.
I'm back now. Yeah, I'm just making notes there. Kathy, when you said online and offline, did you mean on-chain and off-chain, or did you mean online, offline?
I don't know what was meant in it. Was it Ben or Paul? I'm not sure. There's somebody shared in it recently. Just they shared about the Canadian, what's going on in Canada with the truckers, and the way the government stepped in, and then there was a real thoughtful post there from somebody, I think it was Ben, and then there was conversations after that, and I thought it said like online and offline, and I thought it was talking about, but my knowledge isn't really up to speed here, you know, it's like the soft wallets and the hard wallets, but it probably might not be that tall. It's just, how do you, am I making sense in any way?
just to give context, because I did see that it was about the way they're storing their cryptocurrency. So it was in a sense of if it was on an exchange, and if it was on a decentralized wallet, because basically the Canadian authorities emailed this particular wallet to say, oh, can you give us these individuals that have sent cryptocurrency here? And then they basically said, well, if you understand our model, we can't do that. So just to give the context on that.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think the overall question that you're talking about here, Kathy, is like, how is the part of crypto, which is the censorship resistant, government resistant, control resistant aspect of crypto, and how does that topic bleed out into other areas? How do I have crypto and only spend crypto, bypassing the fiat system? That's your sort of your question, like you're talking about the true essence, the original use case of crypto, to discuss that more. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's totally cool. And to be fair, well, I'm not trying to pimp our course because we're not even charging people for it, but that's kind of how we begin. It's in one of the early, I think it's in module 2 or module 3. It's like this original use case of crypto and where it came from, because the more you understand it, the more beautiful crypto becomes. It really does, and it is the future for a few reasons, not just because of digital land, but it's the future because the way in which we have certain systems today, you know, to pull from my TED talk, they're popping and quacking. We are due huge shifts in so many things, and I don't see anything else out there giving us an option other than crypto, or blockchain, I should say. I prefer to use the word blockchain. So I happily discuss that. Thank you very much, Kathy. I've made a note of that. So we're coming to like the last little sort of bits. Dom, on that last bit where I commented on technicalness, does that hit home? This is the point that I'm making kind of land. Do you have anything?
Yeah, definitely.
Bits that you want to say to that?
All I can say is I'm ready to sign up to the course. I think we've been going back and forth. It's been a couple of months, but I've saved up a very decent wedge of money now over the last few months, and I've had brief intervals of learning about crypto, and the NFT part was like we used the word exciting for me before. So I've learned a lot on this call already. I'm gonna definitely jump on the course with you guys, and I'm glad that we've done this. I know Matt had a few questions relevant to, so I think maybe just ask Matt for just to close out, because I know he's already got quite a big portfolio. Oh, you're muted again, mate.
Sorry, I'm pressing the wrong button. Yeah, do you want to take the floor for a little bit, Matt, then, and just ask whatever you want?
Yeah, there's a few, and I know we don't have too much time, so I guess if in closing,
quick fire round.
Quick fire. Yeah, I would say what you were talking about before, just in terms of this is NFT, but where you think that space is. One of the good things I think I took from you and Richard, then a big part of it was the platforms. You know, if you're thinking of where to place money, you know, kind of putting it where the spades are, you know, and getting in on the spades, you know, if we're talking precious metals rather than, you know, whatever they're trying to dig for, etc. So I guess in closing, where do you see the space at the moment? And I know you've mentioned virtual land, but also what is gripping you, what's enticing you with where you're at currently, and then also where you see things are heading, which I know is quite a big question to ask, quite broad.
That's okay. It's a good one to finish up on anyway. I'm gonna cheekily ask Richard to comment on that whilst I finish some of this food, but then I will pass my comments over. So the question really is around within blockchain and crypto, what is currently taking our attention, and what direction is it going, or directions is it going, and what do we see for the next? It's a big open question, I suppose, on the generalness is in and around crypto and its direction and where it's going right now. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. And you can throw in NFTs if you want to as well.
Okay. Richard, you cool, or do you want me to answer first? You cool to jump in?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, if we take NFTs, I think it's going to eat the world. You know, crypto is going to eat the world anyway, but NFTs are, you know, the thing that is really, really going to engage with people, because it's going to touch parts of their life that, you know, traditional crypto doesn't at the moment. Basically, everyone kind of wants to be in, you know, a lot of people want to be into crypto but don't fully understand it, but there's a lot of it's intangible because there's a lot of work that people have to do to be involved in it, you know. I think with NFTs, as I said before, if you've got an interest in something, NFTs over the next year, 5, 10 years, whatever space it is, time zone you use, it's going to touch something you're particularly interested in. So, you know, real estate, for example, I mean, I'm seeing things at the moment where, imagine the world where everyone's bought, most people have, well, I've either had some sort of contractual experience around property, whether it's you know, renting a house or buying a house. Anyone that's bought a house knows it's the biggest pain in the ass out there. It takes so long. There's lawyers involved. There's you know, all these different layers of people, and there's projects that happen at the moment where people are going to tokenize that. So if I want to sell, Matt's got a house and he wants to sell it, and I say I'll be interested in that, Matt. And there's a platform out there. We can agree individually about the property, basically what we're buying, what we're selling, and an NFT, basically just a digital receipt, can be produced between us using a platform that bypasses all that all those issues, basically, all that time, all that money, and basically it's done very quickly. So you can look at, as I say, other things around, like, gaming. The gaming NFT space is massively going to blow up in the next. It's already blowing up. I think there was 2.3 billion done purely on in-gaming NFTs in the 2 months of last year. 2.3 billion, and we're still in the infancy of this thing. So there's so much money. Anything that you can put a value on in this world is going to be recreated in the NFT world, plus more. So it's almost overwhelming. Like I said, there was 8,000 tokens this time last year. Now there's 16,000. So there's an awful lot of hype and speculation, bubbles, all these different things. But I think NFTs is the most exciting space in terms of crypto. But I think I will always come back to what we always say is, why are you interested in it? Why are you in this space? But also, what can you dovetail into? Because you'll have an interest, and that's the one of the most valuable things you can, for your own sanity, for your own investment path. It's if you're interested in something, just scratch that itch. I think that's one of the best things you can sort of say about that. So yeah, I mean, it's cryptos and blockchain is exploding in all sorts of different areas. I think picking a space is one of the most valuable things you can do, because otherwise you'll get so overwhelmed. That's the thing. And just on NFTs, and in particular, I think my kind of watchword at the moment is like utility. What else is it doing? What is it doing, and what can you do with it? Because that's everything is going to have a utility. Every NFT is going to have a utility, unless it's like a digital, a digital piece of art or something that's just got scarcity and community around it. Is my brief summary there.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Ricky boy. I agree with everything Richard has said. I always try and give a different view as well. Otherwise, one of us isn't needed. That's for sure. NFTs definitely aren't going anywhere, but I tell you where my brain's going right now. My brain, even if I love crypto and blockchain and what's possible, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't enjoying the returns as well. Crypto has afforded me and Christina to totally change our life, and I did scratch an itch. I couldn't get crypto out of my head about 6 years ago, and I think it's really important to remember to follow the scratches and the itches, because that's the stuff that keeps you interested when it's really shit. And there are times within crypto, especially when I'm 100% in crypto, so it's a big part of our experience in our world. So you have to have something that you're enjoying, because otherwise you just get bored. And we all know that. We've all got experience of that. But where my brain's going is whether we're heading into winter, in a winter, or are we about to jump up? I mean, the market's all split fully in terms of, I've seen, if I follow certain people, we are primed, ready to pump to the moon. And then if I follow some other people, we're already in winter and we're going to consolidate for the next year and a half. Now, personally, I don't care. I don't care because I'm not reliant on one or the other. And I say this because whatever you're going to get into, you've got to understand, is the thing you're getting into reliant on a hype cycle going up or not? So if you were going to go into digital land on any of the systems for the next 10 years, you could argue that it doesn't kind of matter. Even if we are the hype and it's about to drop in price, wait for the next cycle and it'll do well if you're diversified. But some things are really important if you're in the hype cycle. When we pop out of the hype for NFT art, 98% of everything will lose 90% of its value and most likely won't recover. That's my regurgitated view from all the NFT people that I follow and that I've listened to and everything. NFT gaming, I think, will be way bigger, because if you want to talk about utility, that word Richard was talking about, then what does it do? gaming utility and NFTs is huge. There's already a pre-existing market for people spending money to buy a skin for their gun to change its color. Now, they can't do anything with that. They can't make it into real life. They can't move it into another game. So that market has been existing for years before they became NFTs. Now all they're going to do is you can have a skin for a gun and you can sell it. I mean, if you're already talking about $1 billion industry of people paying in games, imagine the minute that those things they pay for are assets, real world assets, but obviously digital. So I think anything I have in the metaverse and the NFT space is only in gaming. I won't touch anything else really. I've got some bits and bats, but I think gaming is a really solid one and is just gonna get huge. So for me, it's about looking at the market, the timing of it, where are we at? And is the thing you're getting into reliant on that? Because if it is reliant, it's gonna be a bit of a storm. And the thing that excites me the most right now is everything around DeFi. I'm very, very interested in how the crypto can solve the world's money issues by producing enough passive income for people that frees them from the requirement and the need to work. And actually people can start to live as more human beings, because the more I've gone through my evolution, I just see work and business as traps. I don't think it should be part of society. I don't think that's what we're here to do. And the more I just see people waking up, working, doing a bit of their hobby, going to sleep and getting 2 days off a week, it literally boggles my brain. And I think crypto has the capability to free people of that and allow money to move, which is what keeps the economy going, whether you love it or hate it. All the recession is the slowing down of that. And that's what interests me. Whether it's running nodes through some of the different systems that are out there, whether it's the passive income side, and it's not necessarily passive, and some of it's super high risk, but that's what definitely interests me at the minute. More specifically is nodes. Like, how do you support blockchains to continue? And as a result, they charge fees for people that are on that run transactions on the blockchains, and those fees get paid out to people that run nodes. And that really, I think that's really liberating, because for most people, if you can earn a couple of grand a month, their requirement to earn totally changes. And there's lots of ways you can do that in crypto. And that's real world for me, because that's tangible. I'm not betting on something going up in price. It's like you're spending money to run a node to support a blockchain, and as a result, they pay you. It's very boxed, it's very simple. So that's my 2 cents, which is thinking about the market and where we're at, and thinking about how much what you're going into is reliant on that. And the thing that interests me, I do think NFTs will be in the future, but I think gaming will be the next biggest one. And I think the artwork will pop. And I think that long term, what I'm most interested in is passive income systems and strategies in the blockchain space. Is that a good enough answer?
Awesome, man. Really, really good to hear.
Okay, so
appreciate you doing this, man. Thank you very much.
No worries, Dom. No worries at all. Thank you for asking, because me and Richard keep talking, and we know we're coming back to FLT calls. So this has been really good to just spur us on to pick them up again. The world is just changing so fast. Right in front of our eyes, and that is liberating and exciting and scary and unknown and everything in between. So there's been a lot of times where I've got great value from FLT calls, giving and receiving from other people, and the sense-making groups where we kind of started out, actually, because crypto broke out from that. So it's good to be doing them again, and I think there's never a better time for good people to just get together and just be talking about things and supporting each other, because if we don't do it, who will? And if we don't do it now, when will we do it? So thank you, Dom, and thank you, Matt, for asking the question. Thank you as ever to my brother Richard, wherever in the world. You're in DR now, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Sunny DR, yeah.
And so it's just good to just pick things back up. So we wanted to do this one all around NFTs. I hope it has been useful for everybody. We're going to finish now because we're at an hour and a half. We're going to be more active in the FLT group as well. We're not going to do a call next, as much as I want to do Kathy's call. Kathy, it's really important that we just get cracking on with the course, because we think that from doing the course, we can have breakout modules, because the stuff you want to talk about there is very fascinating, very doable, very interesting, and is something that I think is important to discuss. So I think once we've got this course, we can bolt onto it with beautiful little things then, and I think it'll be more relevant then. So I will do a cheeky punt. If you know people that are new into crypto, we'd love to have 20 or 30 people on the course calls each week. We're definitely going to do 6 weeks in a row. We're going to try and do 9 weeks in a row, but we might need a little break. But if you know people, they don't have to be in the FLT group. If someone is interested, doesn't know where to begin, we're positioning this from a trust perspective, because if you don't have trust, at least where you're gaining your information from, you haven't got anything. You know, I could go online right now and get my information from all sorts of places, but crypto is an unregulated market. And so you do have to have your spidey sensors up. But we hope that through what we've made within FLT, that over the past couple of years, we've proved ourselves to be a good community, good people that are running it, and at least a decent level of trust. So if you know other people that are interested to get more into crypto and wish to join, then through proxy, through your trust of us, we hope you can extend the invitation to them. So
I'll just touch on that really quickly before you go, and just say, Daniel, I think in regards to information, like me and Matt, you know a lot of people in this space and could have asked anyone, but I think we really have 100% trust in you and in your information, and there's no hidden agendas, there's no profits be made on the other side. It's just your eagerness to help other people and build people up as well. So I can vouch for anyone that, you know, if you are looking for someone to help you on this, I think you'd definitely be the right fit and can be trusted 100%.
I appreciate that. And I know that you might not have been on many FLT calls, but that same love and respect you have for myself, that's why I do these with Richard, because there's so...
Sorry, I was just going to say the same. If you can let us have the details in advance so that I can start to share with people. There's a couple of people that I've sent this way already, and I'd like to share what you're doing, because I mean, I've known you guys for some time now. I absolutely respect what you do and the value of this group. So I'd really like to share it with this, you know, I don't know how many people you're hoping to get on it, but can you give us the details so we can start to do that?
Yeah, of course. Me and Richard will have I think we have chosen a date. I can't pull up my diary at the minute to have a look. We'll share everything as quickly as we can. We just haven't moved forward with it, partly because of time, but also, you know, that whole thing of perfection, even though both of us know it doesn't exist. So we've just kind of accepted now that what we have is good enough. We know where we come from. And what I was saying to Dominic earlier is I choose to do this work with Richard because from an integrity and a values perspective, there's just this pure alignment. So although Dominic doesn't necessarily know Richard, the same respect that Dominic had for myself that he shared, that's why I do these with Richard as well, because there's no agendas, we believe in the same thing. And I think the more that we can have people like that, and I think there's others in the FLT group as well. Kathy, I when we first met, I only know you a little bit, but I know that those same values are shared between yourself, Howard, me, Christina, Richard, Kez. So it's important to have these. So we're going to start the course soon. I will share details as soon as I have them, even if it's just a picture and a date. And then if you can share it with others, that would be always well received. And we can get some more help and support given to those who need it.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Hope to see you all on the call, guys, because I think just want to finish off by saying everyone's got something to add that always takes us off. It doesn't matter where your knowledge is as well, whether you're a beginner or you know, deemed expert out of 10, whatever number you give yourself. I think everyone can learn something from being in this in a group like this. And me and Daniel always learn something by something else that someone brings up, and we'll pull that thread for ourselves and then try and share it with other people as well. So really hope to see everyone on the group if you can all make it, because you all add value. You really do. Thank you.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Okay, let's leave it there for now.
Guys.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Hope
Thanks
you
so
enjoyed
much,
yourself.
guys.
See you
And
later,
I'll
guys.
post this
Thank
meeting soon.
you, Richard and Danny. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.